Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's ArbieG and today we are starting off a new series, the Mazda Beginners Series Round 1. So I'm taking part in a new series for ART, getting in on the first race. It's quite similar to the Beetle series that we're running at the minute. So you've got two 20-minute endurance races. First one based on a quali, second one based on a reverse grid. And we're racing in the Mazda Roadsters today. So nice, stable race cars. Not the fastest paced out there, but really good for people just sort of trying to improve their driving in general, with it in general slowing down the process. So should be pretty exciting. Qualifying, actually managed to nab pole position on qualifying, so really pleased with that. So that sort of sees us up in first place. Managed to get a 57.1. When I was in practice, I actually managed to get into the 56s, but I only managed that once, and that was after quite a lot of practice, so I didn't see me getting in, so I was quite pleased to get the 57.1. So let's see how we get on race 1 here. So we're doing the Red Bull Ring short track, so a shortened version of the Red Bull Ring. So kind of feel, a nice track to sort of start us off in the season. In terms of the tyre wear and the fuel, we do have tyre and fuel, but not enough that would require a pit, so we don't really have to worry about it. And we're doing a rolling start. Probably won't be doing a rolling start for the whole series, maybe a little bit further down the line they'll move us on to grid starts, but for now, starting off rolling start, which actually makes an interesting aspect on the reverse grid race, because obviously in the reverse grid, if you do well in the first race, you're going to be rolling start right from the back of the grid for the second race, and there's a lot more ground to make up. So in general, the people who perform well in the first race will have a lot more work to do to perform well in the second race as well. So it's an interesting little slant, this rolling start aspect. So we'll be seeing this in the first couple of weeks as we get away. Really bad exit from me in from turn 1 there, and that's given Hippie and Sly a chance to move up on me, and they've actually both managed to get past, but I find myself kind of sandwiched in the middle of them both there. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of contact there. Fortunately nothing that was really race ending or anything like that, so we currently sit in second place behind Sly here, with Hippie Blood just behind us, coming down to the last 2 turns of the lap. So these laps take about a minute each to go through, so it's a 20 minutes late, so we're going to be looking at about 20 to 21 laps depending on the pace. Sly runs himself a little bit wide there, going to grab himself a penalty. There's a little bit of I think the track is quite strict when it comes to penalties, when it comes to Red Bull Ring. So we do in general see a lot of penalties. Make a tiny bit of contact with Sly on the back there. I did apologise for that at the time, and did sit off there. It's given Fraser a chance to really move up. So Baby's gone through there. Sly not getting a great line. Fraser's gone really wide, and he actually hit the wall there. And I actually managed to get that inside, just up on the inside of Sly there, as he come off the pace a little bit, and I found that little bit of room within the track limits, and that's pushed me back up into first place. Let's see if we can now use the position to try and gain an advantage, as we've got Hippie just behind us, sitting up behind us. Slipstream, obviously Slipstream always has an impact, but not as much as we would do in like your Group 3 cars or your Group 4 cars or anything like that. So Slipstream is gonna play aspect, but not as much in terms of the actual gains you get, as we actually run ourselves a little bit wide there, so we're gonna pick up a penalty. I think a lot of people ran wide through that turn. Turn 1 is really where all of the time is made on this lap. I found from my practice that, you know, a lot of the other turns you can do pretty consistently and not losing much time, but turn 1 was where is the difference between you doing a 59 second lap and a 57 a second lap. It really was. So it really is all about that turn 1 and how you come down into that, and whether you hit, if you come through the hitting the apex right, so not hitting sort of, there's a bump curb up on the inside, not hitting that and not going up too aggressively on the sausage curbs on the left. You can get through about 70 miles per hour, 70, 75, you're able to put in what I can tell to be quite a good lap. So we're still in first place, managed to build a bit of a gap now, and really just need to try and push. And weirdly enough, we're actually just going to skip forward and we're actually now right at the end of the race. I know there's not much in terms of highlights. It's great for me, obviously. It's really good to be winning a race, and I'm not going to make any complaints about that. But obviously, in terms of an entertaining race to watch from my perspective, you're literally just watching me do laps. So the only thing we do have to say is obviously we've got a 15-second gap, 15.5-second gap, so we really have managed to build up through this race. And barring a really real major slip up as we come through turn 1 now, making that through quite nicely there as we come through turn 1 and down into turn 2. But yeah, barring a major slip up, so you know, spinning off the track, being the wrong way and spinning off again, it looks like we should be able to finish off this race. We are carrying a just under 2-second penalty, which I'll probably be looking to grind off before we cross the finish line. Not that I need to grind it off, but I suppose just for the sake of a decency, the right thing to do is grind it off. It actually looks like I've gone off now, and just grinding down that penalty. Coming round now with just under a minute left of the race, so we're going to definitely put in at least one more lap, so it's going to be a 21 lap race for me, but I think the people behind me might be finishing off their race on lap 20, so I think once I'm beyond this line it's effectively over anyway, in the sense of I think maybe by the time the few of them get over that, the race will be over. As we now come round to turn 1. Again, not a very exciting race to bring you. I mean, obviously, technically it's my first ART race win, so really pleased to be able to do that. But in terms of entertainment value for a video, not much really to be gained from watching someone just do laps over and over. But it certainly does create an interesting aspect for the next race. Like I said, finishing off this in first place in general means that I'm going to be at the back of the grid when it comes to the next race, and being at the back of the grid with a rolling start, there's a lot of room to make up. So we're going to see hopefully a lot more action going into the second race for the first round of the Mazdas. But certainly good in terms of results, and also grabbed myself the best lap time of a 57.1, so matching up my qualifying pace there. And that's good to see on lap 13. And that is race over now, so finished off there. 21 laps. Well, 22 laps, really. Oh, actually, no, I'm technically in lap 22, so it was 21 completed laps. And a win. So, moving on to the next race, like I said, reverse grid makes a bit of a new aspect to it. And obviously we've got the guys who are still really well paced in front of me, so we've got Sly and Hippie Blood just in front of me, who seem to be pretty well matched in pace. So it's a challenge here, is whether or not I try and sit behind them and try and make gains at the same time they do, but not really try and fight with them too much, because the problem you can get with being a fast runner at the back is if you're fighting these other guys who are equally as fast at the back, then you are going to create yourself a pack and actually start dropping off from the people in front, and that's what you want to avoid. So really first thought in mind coming into this, being one of the runners at the back, is don't get too involved in trying to scrap with Sly, Fraser and I like Hippie Blood, anyone in that bottom 5 or so really, and make sure that we're actually trying to make our moves on people that are slightly in front of that. I mean, obviously if one of them was to come off, or one of them was to make a mistake, I'm not going to turn down an opportunity as it comes, but at the same time I'm not going to try and push someone and try and fight someone a tooth and nail for a place where ultimately I'll be wanting to fight them for that place towards the end of the race, not so earlier on. I think I've said this saying a few times, but very rarely can you win a race in one lap. So we've actually got away to not a great start there. We're already about a second and a half behind, and we actually find ourselves away from the pack. So not great through turn 1. In fact, I think in general I struggle through turn 1 where I'm not at race pace. So obviously when you're starting a race, you're not at the sort of same speed when you come into the braking zone, so you have to adjust your braking a little bit, brake a little bit later, and I'm sort of judging that as I'm going into a start of the race. So it's something for me to work on going into races in the future. Maybe just do a bit of practice from whether I'll be starting from, so like, you know, start off a car from around about here and try and get it into turn 1 neatly with the same exit speed that I would do normally, as I seem to be losing exit speed. And you can see, look, I've tailed me off by 2 seconds on there. Actually ran myself a little bit wide there, and people were not getting a great exit themselves. Actually closes down that gap really good. Did pick up myself a bit of a pen, so maybe a bit of a cheat to kind of grab myself forward. Wasn't purposely trying to slide wide, but worked out in my favour to bring me back up amongst the pack, and a penalty that I'm kind of happy to carry and make sure that I'll seal off by the end of the race. But I'm actually now on the outside of J-Lad, who didn't find the pace on himself there, so managed to move up a place. And now just sort of alongside Fraser, losing a bit of time there from the penalty. Still on the outside with J-Lad on the inside, just making sure that we don't squeeze him out, give him enough room so he can sit on that inside still, but we've still got enough exit speed to stay in front of us. He's going to slip behind us in the slipstream, and we're going to keep going on with Fraser about a second gap in front, so still a bit of work to try and get back really into this race and push up the few positions that I want. I think if I can get inside the top 5, I'm going to be quite happy. I mean, realistically, I need to be trying to aim really to finish in front of Fraser and Sly. Those are the ones according to the first race that I'm probably going to be competing with alongside with Hippie Blood in terms of the overall standings and championship. But in terms of this race, you've got to be realistic, and they've actually looking like it already. They've already managed to climb up some spaces. I have to work through. There's going to look like a battling going for this corner, so that serves me well. The more fighting that goes on in front of you, the more chance you get to close off, because people aren't taking their perfect lines through. A few people running wide there. Again, we haven't really closed up much of a gap. J-Lad unfortunately has tailed off a little bit. Closed off a little bit, putting in a respectable 58 flat there, but probably need to be bringing up that pace a little bit just to make sure I'm not out of this race before it's really started. As much as you can't win a race in lap 1, you can definitely lose a race in lap 1. As we're going through there on the inside, a few people, a bit of ghosted makes it a bit fortunate there, or else Dawes and myself would have come into a bit of contact. A bit hard to judge in terms of responsibility and fault there. I think I could have been a bit more careful going into that one, so fortunate to come away with that from the penalty. In a bit of a tight pack here. Currently in 8th position with Fraser in front and Dawes in front. Going to take the inside line. Going through here. Did give Dawes a heads up. I was on his inside to make sure there's no contact. Nice and clean through there. Didn't get the pace through. Fraser looks like he might come on the inside, on the outside. Shortcut over through the apex there. Probably going to pick up a pen there, as you see. Grab myself an extra half second. But fortunately avoided all the contact. We're still tight up amongst this pack, so a lot of close racing here. That's what we want to be doing. And some really neat stuff going on. One's ride there, I actually accelerated a little bit. I come off to accelerate a little earlier there just to give myself the speed on the cutback. But you can see you got Book the Boy flying up my inside here, and managed to close that door off. Okay, again, it might have been cut him off a little bit, so not necessarily the cleanest from me. I don't think I realised that at the time, so might have even conceded that if I'd known that at the time. So if you're watching this, Book the Boy, apologies for the cut off there, as you were coming off on that inside pretty quick. But now we skip forward a little bit. We're into lap 7. We're in 6th place behind Draco. Managed to build up a gap between that big pack behind us, so we've got about 3 seconds up on them. As he one's right there, and it just affords us the opportunity just to quickly pinch in and grab that place. So now we've got a gap between ourselves and Mo in front, about 3 seconds. So some work to do, and Mo is at a good pace as well. So definitely some work to do and get this up. And you can see Hippie Blood and Sly even further in front of that. You know, good seconds in front of them. So, and Big Boy Barney, who actually come last in the last race, is flying away in 1st place. So definitely not looking at another race win here. I think realistically 4th is a possibility, but going beyond that, yeah, it's going to be a challenge to keep it going. But we're up on Mo now, lap 10, so with about 3 or 4 laps to go. Probably 3 laps, considering the pace of being a little bit behind on the last race. 3 laps to go in this race, set up behind Mo, so we've managed to grind back that gap, and we've extended it even further from Dawes, so we really don't have to worry about what's going on behind us, and can focus purely on getting the pass here through Mo, who we do have the pace on because it's shown by grinding that gap down. We actually did clock in best lap time before, the 57.1 again. We're actually looking up on the inside now on Mo, again giving him a heads up that I was there. And again, a little bit fortunate again that I ghosted there, or else I could have really slammed into the side of Mo. So yeah, I think we're in a way fortunate we're on Red Bull. That so many penalties are affording these little scrapes that might have developed into something a bit worse. So again, not the cleanest race I've ever done here, and definitely something I need to work on as we come through turn 1. And actually, we've lost it there. Managed to, actually, I don't know how I got that back. I have no idea. Managed to pull that back and get the car steadied again, as it looked like I was going for a full slip off there. And that's actually afforded me to hold on to the position, but that was a bit touch and go there. Mo hasn't managed to close down that gap and capitalise on my mistake there. So really fortunate to get away with that one. But maybe just something to be a little bit more aware of for myself as well. And that was my first real slip I've had in these 2 races. Again, we've just got to work on getting back to that pace, getting my concentration back, and getting that pace to move in front of Mo. I don't think I've got... I think I've got the pace to catch them, but there's not enough race left to be able to push up against Sly and Hippie Blood. So I'm really in a fight here for 4th place, making sure that I secure it. And once I build up a bit of a gap, I can try and sort of ease off a little bit and make sure I'm not pushing it too hard and forcing it. So did pick up another penalty there, so that's really unfortunate. Mo doesn't have a penalty. That's nothing we've got to be considerate of, that we've got to grind that down at some point to come around now into the end of the S-bends. And we've had another slip there. Again, managed to catch that one in. Some reason turned on my hazards and my lights. I think I might have caught the pause button there by accident as I panicked, but yeah, that's really unfortunate. It's given Mo the chance to get out in front again, and I've dropped back into 5th position. So yeah, a little bit of bad concentration going through those couple of laps. We've skipped forward now to lap 16, and I was really struggling at this point to really grind back on Mo. Mo found his pace, and I'd kind of come off mine a little bit. You can see those lap times. I'm putting in those 58s the past 2 laps. I put in a 57 before that, but you know, really not hitting those lap times that I would sort of like to be hitting. Should come out through the exit now with about 4 or 5 laps remaining. As we come down now into turn 1, hitting that curb a little bit, running wide, and actually Mo's binned it, unfortunately for him. Not a great line through there for myself, but with Mo coming off there, really bad off for him, so that's really unlucky for him, but affords me the opportunity to retake that 4th place with comfortable gaps either side. So we've now got Mo a good 10 seconds behind. Sly, you know, was about 6 or 7 seconds behind. You can see I've actually ground that down a little bit, and I've actually got that down to about 4 seconds behind Sly. So I think, again, with a bit more in this race, I probably could, even if I didn't have a couple of those slips that I had mid-race, I might even be able to get that back up to Sly. Maybe not for Hippie, and for certainly not a big Barney boy who really did mark his a stamp on his race early. But we've come through now, probably going to have to do 21 laps again. Looking at the time down below, another 30 seconds left of the race as we come down through the final turn of lap 20. So going to be 21 laps for us. I guess, again, barring a major slip up from the guys in front, Sly or Hippie, definitely looking like we're just going to try and hold down 4th place. So sort of a mixture of feelings for that race for me. I think I'm pleased overall with the outcome. I think, considering what happened, especially sort of a really bad start to the race where I wasn't able to find my pace and sort of tailed off from the back a little bit, and couldn't use slipstream, and everyone was in that nice little pack, and I couldn't really get involved for those first few laps. So a bit challenging there. Then, you know, when I did get through that pack, I found myself in that battle of Mo, and I sort of pushed myself a little bit too hard, slipped out a couple of times. And as I was going through that pack, probably a few moments as well where I need to work on my track awareness a little bit more, and it can be challenging when you've got a lot of cars around you and stuff. But I think if I hadn't have had the ghosting through the penalties, I might have caused an incident or two, and that would have forced me to have to concede the place back, and obviously wouldn't have finished 4th. But that's it for today's race. We finished off 4th, so pleasing result overall. A 1st place finish and a 4th place finish, and another fastest lap time as well. So 2 fastest laps, there's an extra point there. You get an extra point for fastest lap in the standing, so that affords us a few extra points. So you can see that's where we stand at the moment. Actually, those fastest laps actually do count in this, because you can see we would have been joint first place with Sly with 29 points if not for those 2 extra points we got for the fastest laps. So yeah, really good to be leading out, leaving round 1 and going into round 2 where we'll be at our topless short, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how we compete with those top 5 or 6 people out there, and see if we can push on and yeah, try and make an impression through this beginners series, which yeah, really looking forward to, and looking forward to cracking on with it. So yeah, that's it for today's video anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed the highlights from the Mazda series, and we'll be back again with another a Mazda video next week. I'll also have another video based on the Beetles coming out very shortly over the next day or 2 as well, so keep your eye out for that, for how we got on with the Beetles, which was round 7 I think of 10 of the Beetles. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been me, you've been you, and I'll catch you guys really soon. Alright, cheers, bye.